CBS News Bay Area Afternoon Edition with Ann Makovec.
Thanks for joining us this Thursday, Juneteenth. You might be noticing some gusty winds outside, that coupled with dry conditions, turning up the fire danger in parts of the Bay Area today. And that is leading PG&E to shut off power in some neighborhoods so their lines don't start wildfires. And fire crews are keeping an eye on a brush fire that caused some tense moments in Antioch last night. This fire broke out at around 7 p.m. and quickly grew near the Black Diamond Mines Regional Preserve. Video showing the flames just ripping through that dry brush. That is the real concern here. That fire burned about a half a square mile before crews stopped its spread at around midnight. We saw an aggressive attack. CAL FIRE helicopters dropping retardant, and you can see a man there on his roof with a hose. And there were some evacuations that had to occur at a nearby assisted living house. They were lifted shortly after, but not before first responders had to help people get out of that home.
So I came to get my dad. He's 88 years old, and he's in this beautiful assisted living home right here. And I'm just down the street, but yeah, it's very scary to have to come get him.
Yeah, one person living at that home was sent to the hospital while others were able to go back home last night. People living in the hot fire zone coming back to this pink retardant covering some of their homes. Right now, that fire is 80% contained. The cause still under investigation. And the concern now is that that fire could be just the beginning. Now, high fire danger is prompting PG&E to shut off power in parts of the Bay Area. This is a look right now at PG&E's current outage map. The pink area shows outages right now, eastern Contra Costa County, including Clayton, as well as Alameda County, south and east of Livermore. He sent our photojournalist Brian Kiley to neighborhoods in Clayton without power. And he met one man who is still online. He says he's taking advantage of a program from PG&E. The Residential Storage Initiative provides a free home battery to help provide enough power through the planned outages. PG&E says that more shutoffs are expected throughout the weekend. The orange on this map shows you where those possible shutoffs could happen. That includes parts of Alameda, Contra Costa, and Santa Clara counties. Now, all of this, of course, depending on the winds, that is keeping that fire danger high even as we start to see a cool down. Let's check in with meteorologist Jessica Birch.
All right, well, it's looking dry out there already. We've been talking about low relative humidity, but the next big weather story, of course, has to do with the winds. That's the big concern when it comes to fire weather conditions. You get those strong onshore winds, you're dealing with low relative humidity, and yesterday we were dealing with hot temperatures too, which made it a little bit not the best out in our inland areas, especially off into Contra Costa County, Solano County, where we got wind gusts yesterday up to around 25 to 30 miles per hour, but we're seeing a repeat of that again today. San Francisco this afternoon up to around 35 mile per hour winds into our dinner time hours. Tonight, you head up along that coastline, Stinson Beach, Point Reyes, all the way up into Bodega Bay, up to around 45 mile per hour winds forecasted heading into this evening. And you look at our inland areas too. I'm talking about Livermore and Concord. Tomorrow, I'm advancing the clock all the way into the evening hours tomorrow. We're seeing a very similar setup with strong winds lasting into this weekend's forecast. At least temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler though. Let's head over to the map. I want to show you two things going on. Relative humidity, it's still pretty low, but at least these temperatures are a lot more favorable. You head into this afternoon, we're only talking about 80s and 70s widespread from the East Bay all the way down into the Santa Clara Valley. I'll have more on this coming up in just a bit. Back to you.
Today is Juneteenth, the federal holiday commemorating the date back in 1865 when a group of African Americans in Galveston, Texas finally learned that they were free 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. Juneteenth has been celebrated for generations, but only became a federal holiday when President Biden signed it into law in 2021. Several events planned around the Bay Area today, and our Kira St. Cyr is live at the Oakland Museum of California for the Hella Juneteenth Festival. Sounds so Oakland, Kara.
Hey, so this event is just getting started. They haven't opened the doors just yet, but I want to give you a preview about what's going on out here. So If you look, they've got a DJ set up. He's getting his set ready for this music that's going to be playing. You can also see there's a couple different booths out here where they're going to be serving drinks. And of course, you're not out here, so you can't smell the wonderful smell of the food that is cooking, that they're preparing to serve their guests. And the food is going to be a really important part of today's event. And here to talk about that with me is Mr. Ryan Royster. Ryan, thank you so much for talking with us.
Thanks for being here.
All right, so he is one of the organizers of this event, and he's going to tell me first. I have to ask you this question. So what does the quintessential Juneteenth plate look like?
Oh, you got to have like your auntie on the mac and cheese. Maybe grandma is on the potato salad. And then you got to get something off the grill, some chicken, barbecue chicken or ribs or something like that are my favorites.
All right, so I noticed that you mentioned that, grandma's plate, auntie's plate. So this is a family thing. It's bringing those traditions out.
Absolutely. This is a intergenerational celebration of freedom here right in the Bay Area, right in the heart of Oakland. So we're inviting everybody from the full family to come out and enjoy.
Of course, food is not the only thing people can expect. There is an AI exhibit. Tell me about that.
Absolutely. Future Proof is a generative AI art installation that we created with a renowned London-based Black generative artist named Samir Dabra. And we built a voice-to-image system where you speak into a microphone, and on the large screen, you get to manifest what future you would like to see, and it comes to life in real time.
That sounds pretty cool. And this last question that I want to ask you is that, Juneteenth is the youngest federal holiday, but the tradition itself is about 160 years old. Why is it important to keep celebrating this and keep the Juneteenth memory alive?
I think Juneteenth is the most American of holidays. We're celebrating freedom. We are celebrating the inauguration of more people becoming free, becoming American. And I think if you celebrate the soul and spirit and heart of American ideals, then you should be celebrating Juneteenth.
All right, Ryan, thank you again so much. And now this event, it starts now and it ends at 5 p.m. So you got all day to head out here. Back to you.
All right. Enjoy yourself out there, Kara. Thank you for that live report. And one of the largest Juneteenth celebrations is happening at Lake Merritt. Here's a live look right now where people are out and about celebrating the holiday. There's going to be a DJ starting at around 3 and a 5K around the lake later this evening. City leaders preparing for a safe celebration this year after a shooting at last year's event injured 14 people. OPD has increased enforcement around the lake, and others are going to be on the ground ready to issue citations if need be. Hopefully, no need will be. Across the Bay, San Francisco is marking Juneteenth with the start of the San Francisco Black Film Festival. That is at the Delancey Foundation Theater. The festival started in 1998 as a platform for Black filmmakers, screenwriters, and actors. Now in the hands of the third generation, the focus remains on Black voices and Black history.
Going back to the ode of my grandmother, was her biggest thing was she wanted to be able to support African Americans in our film and tell our stories, and we're the only ones who can tell it in a way that we can make the audience understand, because it's our story. It's not somebody else trying to tell our story from their eyes.
Today's grand opening includes a meet and greet with legendary actor and Bay Area native Danny Glover. Also feature films from San Francisco, including Vibe Land and If We Don't Work. Still ahead here at noon and streaming on CBS News Bay Area, police in Pittsburgh are asking for help after a man was caught vandalizing patrol cars. Details on who they're looking for. Plus, a SpaceX rocket explodes into a massive fireball in Texas, the trouble during a routine test. And let's take another live look outside before we head to break at the city of San Francisco. We'll be right back. Pittsburgh police asking for help identifying a man caught on camera vandalizing patrol vehicles. Take a look. This was on Davie Avenue. Man seen on a bike jumping onto the hoods of one of the cars. He then threw large rocks at the windshield of two cars, causing significant damage, and then he rode away northbound on Davie Avenue. If you know anything about this, Pittsburgh police want to hear from you. In Fremont, 4 people were arrested in connection with a smash and grab at a jewelry store. This was the damage last evening after police say a car rammed into the front entrance of Kumar Jewelers, that's on Maury and Farwell Avenues. Several people ran in and smashed display cases, stealing jewelry before taking off in multiple cars. Police say they found one of the cars involved with stolen property in it. An Iranian missile attack overnight hit civilian targets in Israel, the latest escalation of tensions between the two countries. Natalie Brown reports that this could ratchet up even more if President Trump decides to allow U.S. forces to help strike a nuclear facility in Iran.
A missile from Iran struck the main hospital in southern Israel early Thursday, wounding people and causing major damage.
Several wards were completely demolished, and there is extensive damage across the entire hospital.
In response, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered Israel's military to intensify attacks on Iranian targets, and Israel's defense minister said Iran's supreme leader should not continue to exist. At the White House, President Trump returns to the Situation Room this morning as the U.S. weighs whether to join Israel offensively.
CBS News has learned President Trump approved attack plans on Iran, but has not made a final decision, according to a senior intelligence source and defense official.
President Trump will do what's best for America. I trust his judgment. He's a tremendous friend, a tremendous world leader, a tremendous friend of Israel and the Jewish people. And we will do what we have to do, and we are doing it.
Sources say the president has held off in case Iran agrees to give up its nuclear program.
I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change. I mean, especially with war.
The State Department has alerted U.S. citizens in Iran to leave now. The U.S. ambassador to Israel also posted on social media that American citizens wanting to evacuate Israel can sign up on the State Department's website as the U.S. organizes charter flights and cruise ships for evacuation.
A SpaceX Starship exploded in a massive fireball last night. That happened as the rocket was preparing for a test flight. SpaceX says it experienced a major anomaly while on a test stand. It's the latest of multiple mishaps for SpaceX. In May, a Starship test flight ended abruptly when the rocket spun out of control and broke up, sending debris into the Indian Ocean.
And remember, this is the biggest, most powerful rocket in the world when it's fully assembled with that super heavy first stage. But SpaceX has had a real string of these failures, and it's raising questions about whether or not they will be ready to supply the lander, the moon lander that NASA's ordered, to put astronauts on the moon in just about 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, while the video looks pretty crazy, the good news is that nobody was hurt and there are no hazards to anybody apparently living nearby. President Trump has given TikTok another 90 days to find an American buyer ahead of today's deadline. This is the third delay of a bipartisan law that would ban the short-form video app over data security concerns. ByteDance now has until September 17th to give up control of the platform's U.S. operations. The app has become a bargaining chip in the tense trade talks between the U.S. and China. Back to our first alert weather now, taking a live look outside at the Bay. You have been talking about a lot of fire danger, Jessica Birch, over the last couple of days. Going into the weekend now, what do we need to know?
Well, we're still dealing with those strong onshore winds, right? So that's the biggest concern. Let's say there were to be a small fire in our local communities. Well, it is dry out there. We haven't seen much rain recently. But to add to that, we're also gearing up for some strong winds. And the reason why we're even dealing with such strong gusty conditions is because just north of us, up in the Pacific Northwest, they're dealing with an area of low pressure. And as that continues to swirl its way inland, it's bringing them in some storms, but it's really tightening that pressure gradient for us. So we're seeing strong winds developing from offshore, and we're noticing that already. I mean, currently we're seeing wind gusts up to around 40 miles per hour up into Bodega Bay and Point Reyes. San Francisco into the evening hours tonight tops off around 36 mile per hour winds just into the dinner time hours tonight. Now, watch what happens as we advance the clock all the way into Friday afternoon. Just around 5, 6 o'clock, we're getting strong winds once again, pushing into areas like San Francisco throughout the mouth of the bay, making its way inland. So those inland spots with low relative humidity and warm temperatures, that's the big concern when it comes to fire weather conditions. And we've been talking a lot about that this week when it comes to potential for power shutoffs widespread throughout our inland communities. We continue to keep a close eye on that, especially in the East Bay Hills and throughout some of the hills up in the North Bay as well. Here's what our temperatures are doing for us, though. Daytime highs today, significantly cooler compared to yesterday. Yesterday, we were talking about 90s. Today, we're back in the 70s throughout our inland spots. Tomorrow, it's a repeat, and it's just in time for the first day of summer, too. And then once we head into this weekend and early next week, that's where we're going to start seeing some 80s trickle in there as well. You make your way over into the Bay, though, it's a little bit cooler, not by much. I mean, we're talking about 60s and 70s kind of going back and forth with each other. We are going to hold on tight to the clouds a lot more compared to our inland areas each day in those early morning hours, but it pulls back along the coast into the afternoon, and then by Sunday into Monday, sunny skies each day. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Jessica. This week's Icon Awards coming up next. We are introducing you to a man on the peninsula who for decades has been working to help get the unhoused back on their feet. How some say he has changed their lives forever. Well, the number of people living on the street in San Mateo County has grown 18% in the last 3 years. That is according to the latest count, and the actual number could be even higher. A man on the peninsula, on the front lines, has been lifting people out of homelessness for almost 30 years now. Sharon Chin introduces us to this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award winner.
To be fairly popular.
Peter Steeler rises before dawn on weekdays, cooking and serving a hearty breakfast so dozens of people experiencing homelessness in San Mateo County can start their day right.
I find that when you're of service to people, your life is richer. Do you want the tofu and rice?
Peter and his volunteers also give away toiletries.
Yeah.
And provide showers at St. Bruno's Catholic Church in San Bruno.
V, you go in, and then I think you're next, Jorge.
It's the ministry of the Catholic Worker Hospitality House, the nonprofit Peter and his wife Kate Chatfield started 29 years ago.
I just need to organize that space.
It provides temporary shelter and evening meals for 6 people at the church, plus permanent, affordable housing for a dozen others at 2 boarding houses in San Bruno and South San Francisco. Peter lifts people up in their time of greatest need.
How I got into this work in the first place was that I wanted to figure out a way to live out my faith.
Give me the next one out here.
Janice Dahl says Peter helped her and her husband get back on their feet. They stayed at the shelter and now rent a room at the Catholic Worker boarding house, and she works at the shelter, paying forward Peter's kindness.
He is my hero. Basically, he got me off the streets. He's like my angel that I didn't think I had.
Melinda Lent is also grateful that Peter offered her a place to live at the hospitality house after she lived for months in her car.
He's like a lifesaver. I mean, I was out there in the car, in the street, and he said, expedited my, come on in, I got some space, and let me stay here, and now I'm housed.
Whether he's clearing the room or cleaning the dishes, Peter is often on the move, leading by example. The Catholic Worker Hospitality House relies on volunteers and private donations and does not accept government support. But he does find support and fulfillment building community, helping people go from despair to hope in starting over.
I get to see that change, and I get to be part of it. It feels wonderful.
So for 29 years of serving the unhoused through Catholic Worker Hospitality House, this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award goes to Peter Steeler.
And you can nominate a local community hero for a CBS News Bay Area Icon Award on our website, kpix.com/icon. Coming up, the eyes of the basketball world on Chase Center tonight as the Valkyries face off against superstar Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Details on the highly anticipated matchup. Taking a live look at Chase Center, where tonight WNBA star Caitlin Clark makes her first Bay Area appearance as the Golden State Valkyries take on the Indiana Fever. The Valkyries are leading the WNBA in attendance right now with 5 consecutive sellouts at home. Clark's arrival tonight is likely to generate even more buzz amongst basketball fans. Resale tickets start at $105 on Ticketmaster. And we're bringing you the game live on KPIX.